Hello my friends, welcome back to another HP Gaming GameLINK video. Today my friends, we have another unboxing for you, one of epic proportions, and I know I say that every time, but this time I really do mean it. We're going to be setting sail for adventure on the high seas along the Atlantic Ocean. We're going to be trying to determine who amongst us is friend and who amongst us is up to some nefarious deeds as we try and get to the bottom of all things unfathomable. Welcome back once again, my friends. Thank you very much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. And I know that if you are just watching the channel for the first time, thank you very much for joining us. My name is Matt, and I am here today to talk about the wonderful 3 to 6 player game by Fantasy Flight called Unfathomable. Now, this one is, from what I understand, a bit of a reskin of their Battlestar Galactica version of the same game. Social deduction with an Arkham Horror vibe, Arkham Horror Files vibe, which is fantastic. I am a big fan of Arkham Horror, that is no secret. Probably more so the card game than the board game. However, this intrigues me because of that social deduction element, which I'm super excited about. I am talking too much. Let's get down to the table and we'll show you what's in the box. First things first though, we have to rip the plastic off this sucker. And I don't know, we've waited on this for a while. It's obviously delays, more delays, all that sort of stuff. But I don't know, it's one of these games that looks like it could be worth the wait. I mean, the box art alone is fantastic. The hidden secrets contained within I'm excited about as well. Plastic, of course, goes on the floor, as we all know. But there is just something about a game set in the Arkham Horror universe, whether it's Eldritch Horror, Arkham Horror, even Elder Sign to some extent, although that's a dice game, which I suck at because I suck at dice games. Having a social deduction element set within this universe just makes perfect cosmic sense to me, because who amongst us is a cultist and who amongst us is just trying to get from A to B on the boat? Who knows? It's going to be fantastic. I'm going to flip this around so you can see on the overhead. Look at this glorious, glorious artwork on the front. Epic, epic, epic. That's one thing you can say about all the Arkham Horror games. There is usually a group of people fighting against insurmountable odds, and I kind of dig that. Now this is 2 to 4 hours, 3 to 6 players, and I think it plays in 2 to 4 hours depending on the player count and obviously what goes down on the ship. So this is another one of those games that could potentially be a slog. We unboxed My Father's Work, which you can check out here, and that is a game that bills itself as a 180-minute runtime. At first glance I went, really? But there's a story element, there's lots of reading, it's very in-depth, and I think this is going to be not quite so in-depth, but I think if you want to get into the guts of it, that's what's going to happen. But anyway, in any case, the artwork, the style, I just love it. It's fantastic. A game of hidden loyalties and suspicion for 3 to 6 players, which I'm digging. Let's open her up and have a look and see what is on the box. Now, I believe there's a learn to play guide in here, as well as obviously rule sheet and everything else too, but we'll come to that obviously as we go. We're going to set this one off to the side. Look at that monstrosity there. Bit of a learn to play. I like that. We'll pop this one just here so we can see what's going on. There we go. Looking at all the glorious stuff here. And the sides of the box, I think it's all just unfathomable on all the sides. That's fine. Okay, so we're going to learn to play, which is pretty straightforward. It will explain to you how the game works, setups, components, how to set up the dials on the board, traitor rings, which I kind of dig. All sorts of bits and pieces, and you would have seen there are some minis in this one as well, which I'm kind of excited about. Look, there is so much in these learn to plays. There usually is quite a lot to digest, but it is worth it because it will obviously allow you to understand better how to pull the wool over your friend's eyes if you are playing as a traitor, which I dig. All right, what have we got here? We've got a rules reference. golden rule, obviously, card takes precedence, as is the norm. So you've got here glossary appendix, no cultist variant, so you can just go it alone against the monsters, which I dig. Secrecy guidelines, how it sort of works, rules, references, and spades. That's the other thing about the Arkham Horror games. And along, not just Arkham Horror, Marvel Champions has one as well. The rules reference is vital. It's pretty much like an almanac of information that you can have on hand as you play, particularly if you're playing quite competitively. And I dig that as well. All right, then we have books. Different books and advertisements. They always put advertisements in there. Why wouldn't they? Different fiction elements. And on the back, we've got Arkham Horror Mother's Embrace. Now, I will say this. When I first heard that it was an official video game coming out, I was skeptical. However, it's a good time. It's a good time. It's very much, you have a scenario where you'll send a troop of 3 investigators out. Not only that, but there's turn-based combat, investigation, all that sort of stuff. But then you can potentially rest your investigators in between missions, which is kind of fantastic as well. Digging it. If you haven't played it, check it out. Highly recommend. It's not for everybody, but if you are a fan of Arkham Horror, you'll probably get a kick out of it, particularly being able to play as some of those amazing characters they've brought into the game. Punch-outs for days, punch-outs everywhere. We have here what looks like some indicator dials. These are the characters, the investigators you can play as. Looks like some people waving on the ship. These are those traitor tokens that we talked about. Ship sailing icon, maybe that's a monster icon, and the ship's rondelle, or the ship's wheel, which obviously is going to be come into play. Now, I will say too, the chipboard, as we come to expect from Arkham Horror, the production, or Fantasy Flight, I should say, production element on this is fantastic already. I can't think of anything that I've ever opened up that's Fantasy Flight based that hasn't been great. Oops, just dropping stuff on the floor already. The punch outs is, they're reasonably thick, good quality chits, as we all know and love. And the little tokeny bits, I'm trying to get the plastic off here, but that little inserts for these guys are already falling out like crazy. And we are already getting rain and everything else. We've had this cold snap here in Melbourne. For those of you watching the channel, you will know what I'm talking about. It is bitterly cold out there, so hopefully if you are in Melbourne or are in Australia, you are rugging up because it is mighty cold outside. We have all the different investigators there. There's like I can't remember all the names of all these different investigators or survivors, but some of them may or may not have connections to the rest of the Arkham Horror universe. I'm sure we'll come over those when we go through all the different components. Then you've got the board, which is, wow, it's heavy. This is a big board, which I'm digging. I probably won't be able to get a full shot of it on the overhead. However, for those of you who've been watching the channel recently, you will know that we have been doing a bit of a setup of how the game looks when it's complete. So stick around at the end of the video for that, because you'll be able to see how it all looks when it's set up and ready to be played, and you are ready to be a deceitful so-and-so. I have a thing with the social deduction games where I always want to be the traitor, or I always want to be the bad guy. If we play Secret Hitler, I always want to be Hitler. But I never get to be Hitler because the card draws are just not in my favor. But because everyone knows I want to be Hitler, sometimes it works to my advantage because I can make people think that I'm Hitler or think I'm the bad guy when I'm really trying to figure out who else is, against us. Although it doesn't really work in Secret Hitler because usually that just means I get assassinated. Anyway, plastic on the floor. The board, you have a complete map of the ship. As I said, it's massive. Huge board. I'm going to try and unfold it. I'm going to try. I make no promises. Holy crap, it's huge. Epic. Oh. And there's dials on dials on dials on dials. I'm trying not to knock equipment over. This is massive. I cannot, for the life of me, get all this in. I don't even, it's not even on the overhead. Like you can see here, it's huge. So I will try to get a bit of an overlay to show you what that looks like, as well as obviously when it's all set up at the end. But that is a huge board. It even has space for dials to actually be placed onto the board itself. That's kind of cool too. Then we've got cards, tokens, all the rest of it. Seems to be something missing in here. We'll get to that. All right, what have we got here? Let's have a look. We've got some standees, some punch dials for those dials we saw earlier. Now the standees, I will say these are little plastic thingies here, are actually really quite well made. So if I can find, he says, frantically searching through all the bits now, one of our characters, they're quite easy to actually pinch in to actually hold the standee in place, and they look, you know, reasonably fantastic when they're on display. So as you're moving around the board, they will stand out. Hopefully you can see that, and I'm not pushing it too far the other way. But it looks, I don't know, they stand quite nicely. The plastic's really nice. In here we've also got these little dial assembly things that Fantasy Flight use in pretty much every game ever made by them, and they have this nice little feel to them. Nothing too spectacular there. And then we have a D8. Now the D8 is a weird green color, which I guess suits the theme. Oh gosh, so many bits, spilling stuff everywhere. The D8 is just a standard D8, nothing too spectacular about that. It works. Hey, didn't get a 1, that's always nice. And then we've got what looks like some player characters here, and probably some other cards as well. I don't know, social deduction in the Arkham universe, kind of dig it, let us know too if you've had, this one was quite delayed, so let us know if you've had experiences with this one. How'd you fare? Did you win? Did you lose? Which side were you on? All that sort of stuff. So you've got some, looks like revealed traitor rules, activating monsters on the back, as you can see there. And then you've got what looks like, what have we got here? Interior, oh, these are reference cards, space action abilities, brig rules, revealing as a traitor. So I think you can actually, and again, I haven't read the full rules, you can actually decide to reveal yourself as one of the villains if you wish, which I like too, that's kind of cool. All right, characters, we have, let's see, we have got Kilani Tatupu, the captain of the ship. He's got influence 3, will 2, experienced, demoralized. When you reveal as a traitor, if you are not in the brig, lose 1 sanity. And then you've got on the back, what I love is you've got some character and flavor text. That's one thing that the Arkham horror games have in spades, is flavor text and immersion, and I really dig that. Starting space is captain's cabin. Starting item is the speaking trumpet, so he can bark orders. Then we've got Arjun Singh, who has an observation skill. He's the first mate. Influence direct, that's the standee of him that we put together before. Deck chief, etc. And again, it gives you starting spaces where they start that as a character. Svetlana Gedroitz, who has a law ability, influence and observation. Ship's surgeon, so she's medical, she can heal. That's kind of handy. Jean Lafarge, who is the engineer. Jury rigger, influence, observation, strength. Jamie Snell, the master at arms. So a lot of ship's crew here, and then you've got the apprentice, William Bowleg. You've got Beatrice Sharp, who's a mathematician. Sharp at maths, sharp mind, I like it. Ishmael Marsh, call me Ishmael. Of course, there had to be one. He's the exile. I like that. So is he starting the brig or something? The galley. There you go. And he starts with the Book of Dagon. Ooh, that's a bit presumptuous, isn't it? Edmund Mallory, who has influence, law, strength, observation, and will the jinx. You got Samara Duale. She is the stowaway. I like that too. I like that very much, Titanic style. And then we've got the captain back at the beginning again. So characters with different abilities, which on their own is fine, but I think when you add that traitor mechanic in, the different abilities will come into play to the fore, particularly someone like the Jinx Mallory, who has all those different abilities and skill sets. Depending on which side you're on, he's always going to be under suspicion, I think, regardless of whether he's playing as a traitor or not, because of the fact that he has all those cool superpowers and abilities and pretty much an all-rounder. All right, we've got some cards here. The smaller cards, there's mythos cards, loyalty cards, item cards, damage cards to the ship. Ship can go down. Can you, captain, go down with the ship? We'll find out. All right, so we've got here, I'm going to try and separate these into decks. I think these are damage cards for the ship, mini cards for days. The yellow ones are waypoint cards as you travel through the journey. And then you've got item cards. Gosh, mini cards. What have we got here? Spell cards, because, magic exists in the world of Arkham. We've got mini cards for the players. as well. And then we've got feat cards, I should say. That's what they're called. What's this? 126 skill cards. Gosh. Don't know if I'll get through all these. We'll see how we go. So skill cards, 5, again, it has to be influence. Roll a die. If the result is 3 or more, gain 1 sanity, otherwise lose. Inspiring speech, nothing to hide. So these are different abilities and things that you can do that are affected by your stat. So influence in this case is 1. Forced learning for lore. Play before any cards are added to a skill check. Choose a non-treachery card type. Lesser banishment. What else we got? Shriveling. That sounds familiar. Shriveling again in different abilities, different numbers, shriveling. And then you've got preparation. Play before any cards are added to a skill check. Do not add cards from the chaos deck to that deck. Chaos deck, I'm here for that. Shrug it off. When you would be defeated, play to prevent yourself from being defeated. Necessary. Rampage. Choose 1. Perform up to 4 attacks against your enemies in your space. Perform the action ability of one of your weapon items up to 3 times. I'm going to go on a rampage. Combat training. To re-roll a die, like that. So I'm assuming these get shuffled up. Determination, then you've got persistence, and then you've got ransack if you're treachery cards. Ooh. So I wonder if those are all shuffled in and you can draw them during the course of the game, and if you reach a certain number of points you turn, or if you can only play them if you reveal yourself as a villain. Ooh, I like it. Intrigue at its finest. We're going to put those just to the side down here. Then we've got, let's have a look at these feat cards. And these are special abilities for all the different characters. The captain, when you would make a choice on a crisis, you may lose 1 of any resource instead. If you do, you do not resolve any choice on that crisis and remove this feat from the game. Self-sacrifice, medical intervention, full steam ahead, an arrest order, quick cast for William Bowling, perfect number, deep one ancestry. Ishmael Marsh, choose another human and look at all that player's loyalty cards, then remove this feat from the game. Uncanny Fortune and Well Equipped. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. Okay. Now we've got some spell cards. Alchemical Transmutation, lose 1 food to gain 2 fuel. Astral Travel, Call Down the Storm, Call Your Friends. Cloud Memory, Conjuration, yes. Dark Pact, gain 1 resource of your choice, then shuffle 4 treachery cards into the Chaos deck. Feed the Mind, lose 1 food to gain 2 sanity. Flesh Ward, 4C. Greater Banishment, there's a couple of those in there. Heal. Lure Monster, move each monarch to the deep. Plague of Locusts, Raise the Dead. Revelation of Script. Summon Fire, could be handy. Summon the Beast Within and the Voice of Ra. Each human draws 1 card from any non-treachery skill deck of their choice. Then roll a die. The result is 4 or less. Each human chooses and discards 1 skill card from their hand. So maybe those get separated. You will see when it's all set up. Items. An almanac. Then you've got binoculars. I won't go through all the details. You can pause the video. I may be too far away with the overhead. We'll see how we go. The Book of Dagon. Now that's, I think Ishmael starts with that. Or is it one of them? Move all deep ones to your space to a single adjacent space, then perform 1 action. So you can, the Elder Sign Amulet, it's a staple, it's got to be in there. Fine Clothes, what have we got? Jam, Tin, Grenade, Kitchen Knife, Lucky Ring, Medicine Ball, Mystical Text, Plimsolls, Pocket Pistol, very handy. A repeating rifle, shotgun, there we go, 6-shooter. The speaking trumpet, which we saw earlier or heard about earlier. Starbuck, it's not a coffee can, I promise. Toolkit, travel pharmacy, and a treasured memento, which is awesome. Then we've got, what were these ones? The ships in, then we've got the waypoint cards. So you've got abandoned depot. You may risk 3 passengers to roll a die. If the result is 5 or more, gain 2 fuel. Calm waters. Deep one ambush. These are different things that happen. Deserted island, you may risk a passenger to roll a die. If the result is 5 or more, gain 1 food. Fog bank. So as the ship travels through the ocean, different things can occur. Rainstorm, maelstrom reef, rogue wave, rolling seas, rough waters, sea smoke. A seaweed patch. Shipwreck survivors. You may risk a passenger to roll a die, gain 1 soul. Lose 1 fuel and 1 food for smooth sailing, stormy seas, and a wrecked ship. You may risk a passenger to roll a die. If the result is 5 or more, gain 1 fuel. But you potentially risk all the passengers on board. I love that. Now, we've got ship's damage cards. So these cards have this back, and obviously they pertain to damaging fleeing passengers on the cards. Oop, Malcolm boxes. Risk a passenger, then place this card on the bottom of the damage deck and draw another card. Flooded food stores. Remove this card from the game after losing food. Fuel leak. So as the deck gets smaller, you obviously risk damage from the ship. Structural damage. Place this card in the space being damaged. Defeat each human in that space. Defeat is a term for insta-kill in the Arkham Horror universe. Discard influence cards from your hand that have a total value of 3 or more to repair this space. Shuffle this card in the damage deck. Structural damage for law, structural damage for observation, structural damage for strength, holy crap, structural damage for will, structural damage in general that have a total value of 5 or more to repair this space. Then shuffle this card back into the deck. Wow. So every time you draw, it's usually bad things. I mean, fair enough, for you damaging the ship. That's gonna be crazy waypoints. We've done all that. All right, 1 more deck of cards and then we're pretty much done. Or are we? We'll have to see what lies beneath. And I mean that in the most literal and figurative sense of the word. So these cards are relating to, I believe, different Keeper of the Tome title cards. There's a lot of these. So this is Keeper of the Tome, line of succession. So I'm assuming this is for the traitors, potentially. You are tasked with keeping the ancient tome of spells found with a murdered passenger in this chapel. Reading from the book will allow you to cast spells, but the results can be unpredictable. Look at the top 2 cards of the spell deck, place 1 on the bottom of the then limit once per turn. And that is Keep at the Tome line of succession. And then we have the captain line of succession. So for example, if the captain dies, then Arjun Singh, first mate, becomes captain, and so on and so forth. You are the person in charge of the ship and its operations. When the travel track advances to the arrived space, look at the top 2 cards of the waypoint deck. When a human player in the brig draws a mythos card with that symbol, you choose which track to advance. So that's interesting, because if the captain becomes obviously a traitor, unbeknownst to everyone else, they can steer the ship in a direction that is very, very bad. Remnants of Feed the Kraken vibes here in terms of, cultists trying to send the ship down to the depths and into the monsters waiting more. That's kind of cool. We have 14 loyalty cards. Who's who in the zoo. And then we have what looks like mythos cards for days. So let's have a look at the loyalty cards. They have this back. So which side are you on? And you have, you are a human. Fair enough. And then you have, on the other side of the coin, you are a hybrid. You begin to notice changes in your appearance. If the game ends before the human objective is met, you win the game, even if you have 1 or more human loyalty cards. You are a cultist. If the ship has traveled 12 or more distance and the game ends before the human objective is met, you win the game. Okay, so 1 cultist, a couple of hybrids, and the rest are all human. Who is who? Hopefully, if I can get a playthrough in, oh my God, that'd be amazing. We'll see how we go. All right, mythos cards. Now these are going to be ones that are going to mess with everything. I do like the fact that you've got the ship and you've got this crazy deep stuff that is coming out to cause absolute chaos, and I love it. Accusation. A passenger has accused someone on board of being in league with the deep ones. The accused insists upon their innocence. Someone with authority needs to step in. The captain chooses to detain the accused or decline to act. There's a couple of symbols there which may relate to different things as well. Adrift fishing boat. The anacro individualist. Barricade the hatches. So these are skill checks that relate to this particular objective, and the captain chooses. So the captain role is vital in this game. Make the move, lose 2 sanity, class struggle, coal bunker fire, collision course, coordinated assault, criminal activity, because with chaos it's probably prime for thieves to do their thing, damaged evaporator, deep 1 faint, deep 1 swarm, dinghy launch, disturbing dreams, EOT failure, father's failure, fear of the unknown, fireman's strike, flooding compartment, food rationing, food store raid, hold the line, horrific visions, hull leak, hypnotic melody, identity crisis, fair enough. Improvised fuel source, incoming SOS, infection. No, that's not. I thought it was maybe going to turn someone into a hybrid, but there you go. Jailbreak, we have infiltrator, just desserts, kitty litter, a looming breakdown, lure of Ya Nathel, missing jewelry, missing munitions, missing parents, the mother's wrath. So these are effectively all story elements that you're able to use or utilize to just bring about extra mythos and chaos aboard the ship, unless you can avoid it. I sort of don't want to go through all of them because they are just, there's so much story on these cards. It's just awesome. Ritual support, sacrifice, a deep one, sewage backup, ugh, gross. Stolen ritual components, strange vision, too many bodies, transformation, do no harm. So these are related to the different characters. Ishmael chooses family ties, the game is afoot. Gift of the Mother, if Mallory chooses, history repeats, memory of the deep, miscalculation, the peacemaker, signs of life, and of course, tickets, please. Again, story elements for days. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, that's pretty much everything that's in the box. Or is it? So let's have a look and see. No, nothing on that side. Nothing. There is something on this side. What I'm going to do, I'm going to bring the camera down nice and close, and we're going to go through what's under here. I'm going to break it out and I'll show you. Well, maybe I'll show you now. So under here we have some extra surprises. All right, come down close and we'll have a look. All right. All right, welcome back. Thank you for sticking around for this one here. Now that we've got the camera in nice and close, we're going to be able to show you on the overhead some wonderful, wonderful mini sculpts of these deep ones and their leaders and the chaos. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. I think all the sculpts are, there's a couple of different sculpts. I think no, they could all be the same. There's quite a few of these and they're all, yeah, they're looking absolutely menacing as hell. And I kind of dig that. There is a lot of them. I mean, look at these guys. There is a ton of these things. Boom. For days. And the sculpts aren't, I'm digging it. I'm digging it. We've opened up some other games recently and some of the minis have just been a bit lackluster, but these things, they are all in the same pose from what I can see here. And if I look at this thing, look at it. This is just a general monster deep one. And I think there's 20 of them, which is, I'm kind of digging. It's just, look at this guy. He's got that crazy mouth open, ready to scratch you. And the webbing on the hands. The webbing on the hands is sick. I love it. I'm digging the color as well. I mean, you could, obviously, if you wanted to, you can go and paint these bad boys. But I think there's something about the green plastic. Obviously, it's similar to the dye. I mean, it's not just like if I grab the dye, you can see here, it's not exact, but it's bloody close. And I think, I don't know, there's something about these guys. They just look absolutely boss as hell. There is 20 of these monstrosities here, as you can see, all laid out, ready for action. And they are going to cause a whole lot of trouble for the passengers on board. Unless, of course, the passengers are the ones who summon them. However, these aren't the guys you have to worry about. Yes, they are a pain. Yes, they will cause trouble. Yes, there is an army of them, but they're not the ones you have to worry about. These folks here are just the tip of the proverbial iceberg of death. As I said, there is a lot of them here. We also have two more wonderful, wonderful figures. We have Mother Hydra and Father Dagon. I am not sure which is which, but I'm going based on listing, and it looks like, yeah, Mother Hydra is there. We'll see how we go. Okay, so let's start with Mother Hydra. Mother Hydra is this monstrosity here. Sorry for those who just got a bit of a jump scare. She appeared on screen. I'm assuming this is Mother Hydra. If I've got it wrong, it will appear in the comments below, but the Mother Hydra sculpt is huge. Like, if I have a basis for comparison here, look at this. Like, it just is such a big difference. It's a huge mini, and obviously in a pose, a snarling pose, emerging from the water. I love the waves that are on the side here. That is just epic as hell. Talk about table presence. You put this on the table. Gosh, I'm tempted to use this in a campaign if I ever do D&D at sea, because that is just a terrifying thought to behold. Even this claw here, all that webbing it's in there going nuts. I love it. 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 She is a scary mofo. Even the detail on the tentacles and stuff here is just boss as hell. I love it. I love it. She is a big, chunky piece of work. And then, of course, you've got, if I assume correctly, Father Dagon, who is, I'm happy to say, bigger and bigger again. There he is. Look at him. Look at him. He means business. He's reaching out. You can see, again, the wave on the side here, splashing about in the ocean, waves crashing up his back. The detail on the fins and the sculpture here is just epic as hell. The spikes and spines on the head, too, they're actually quite sharp, which is nice. You know, definitely a hobby gaming. And even the maw, look at him. Those teeth are sharp. The tentacles coming off his face. This guy means business, even right down the side here. I love that. It's so good. So good, so epic. I dig it. He just looks boss. Even the eyes, the detail on the eyes, these things. I'm digging that green color. It just looks fantastic. He means business. So there you go. You have Mother Hydra, Father Dagon, and all of their little offspawn, spawnlings, whatever you want to call them. But that is effectively everything that is included with the Unfathomable box. There is a lot here that we've just unpacked. I think, I don't know, social deduction in the Arkham universe it just works. I think it's going to be fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays. More importantly, though, I'm looking forward to seeing how it all works when it is set up. Table presence is really important for me. For those of you who watch the channel will know. This game promises to be no exception. So without further ado, let's take a look at the game when it's set up and ready to play. Roll that footage. I told you, table presence for days. I am absolutely digging it. It looks amazing on the table. The minis, the cards, the sculpt. I mean, look, it's a production from Fantasy Flight that you know is going to be quality. Gameplay-wise, we'll have to wait and see. It might be a bit tricky for me to get everyone together for a playthrough of this one, particularly with the playtime, potentially two to 4 hours or so. 4 hours is a slog. Like that's getting to epic D&D territory. but it's not unheard of. So if I get a playthrough, when, I should say when, not if, I get a playthrough done of this, I will let you know how that goes. Until then, by all means, if you have been watching our D&D campaign, by all means, please let us know your thoughts in the comments below. At the same time, if you have any questions or feedback, or you've had any experience with this one, please let us know in the comments below so we can have a look together at how Unfathomable plays. Otherwise, folks, we'll see you back at the table for more epic unboxings and videos to come. I'm uploading stuff at least twice a week at the moment, so by all means check back. If you haven't already though, please click that subscribe button so you can stay in touch whenever we post any new content. Massive shout out to our Patreon supporters as well. Thank you very much for all your support, especially Georgia, who's just had a birthday. We will see you back here at the channel very soon. Until then, folks, as always, it is bye for now.